Lovely. Okay, can everyone see my screen okay? If you can just give me a thumbs up or nod. Yep, wonderful. Okay, so before I start, I did just want to run through a few of the help guides and resources that you can use in getting yourself ready for the year-end process. We obviously have all the resources about getting yourself ready for year-end, and then we have the resources of actually completing year-end as well. We are running other sessions on completing your year end, which sort of complements and follows on from this session. And if you go to Scribe Academy, you can see those on there, and you can register for those as well. But two important resources that you can use at this moment. The first one is the Getting Ready for Year-End checklist. So that's what this session is based on. And actually that's a checklist I've got beside me here that I'm going to run through with you to make sure that I cover everything off. But you can download this, and I'll show you where to get that in a moment. And basically everything I cover today is within this checklist. So really good just to run through yourself and make sure that everything is covered. So you can make notes today, but actually if you download this checklist, everything is on there as well. Also on our YouTube channel, we have a series of videos, again, each of the sections that I'm covering today. So 6 parts. Like I say, we'll go through everything that I'm going to talk about today. So if there's a part that you think, oh, I could just do with a bit of a refresher on that, you can go and have a look at those videos as well. So all of these can be found under the year-end help menu. So if you go into Scribe itself, click on the Help Center on the home page here. It will bring up the main account. Let me just show you the main screen. And here you can see we've got a heading of year-end help resources. If we click on that, you've got the videos over here, the Scribe specific ones here, so that will take you through to those videos I just showed you. And also under the year-end checklists and guides, you've got the getting ready for year-end checklist here for you to download. So that's the easiest way to find them. Plus, have a good look through those all those resources there. There's a lot of checklists, there's videos, not just for preparing for year end, but for completing year end as well. And we put everything in one place so you can easily find it. Okay, so let's go back and have a look at Scribe itself. And the first thing we're going to have a look at is running your annual return. So you don't have to wait until year end to check that everything's looking okay. Now's a really good time to have a look at it, check that it's balancing, check that your figures have been brought forward from the previous year. So in your menu, we're going to run down here to your year end menu. So obviously mine's in income and expenditure. Obviously yours might be in receipts and payments. I've popped it in income and expenditure because the most important thing to do when you are in I&E is every time you go into it, or you've added new transactions or made any changes, you must run calculate. Scribe has to pull for I&E a lot of information from a lot of different places. So you click on the calculate button and press start. And hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll get 2 lovely green messages that say that your balance sheet and your annual return and your reserves all balance. Okay, so if not, you'll get a big red message, and then we can go into the annual return and the balance sheet to have a look. So annual return, obviously same for everyone, whether you're in RP or I&E. Let's just run the annual return here. Click on view report. So a few things to check here. First one is that you have got figures in the left-hand column. So this is where you will have closed your previous year and brought forward last year's annual return figures. If you're new to Scribe and you haven't got a previous year, you will need to pop down here to the setup menu and restate your previous year. So if we click in that, you will need to complete your cash at bank figure, your funds figure, so your earmarked capital and general funds. We very rarely have anyone that collects assets of work in progress or temporary lendings. Most things are registered under the adjustments button. So just remember, these parts are only for if you're working in I&E. If you're receipts and payments and you're restating, you're only going to need to fill in your cash at bank and funds tabs. They're the only ones that you will have. And then your VAT figure as well, so your VAT recoverable. So any funds that were owed to you, which would be a plus figure, or if you owed VAT at the end of last year, you would put that in as a minus figure. Okay, so that's the annual return. If you do have a previous year in Scribe, you will need to go back into your last year. So if you click on the round button at the top left, go into your 21-22 year. It may be that you have closed it, but you just haven't ticked the box to bring forward the annual return. So you can reopen it by clicking the red button there, or if we go into the year-end menu, at the bottom, you've got close accounts. So click on that, and you can see here that my box hasn't been ticked. So you need to check if you've in receipts and payments, you'll have the one box, copy annual returns data, tick that. If you're in I&E, you'll have two because you're copying both your balance sheet, your income and expenditure data, and your annual return over. So just make sure all three of those boxes are ticked and click on confirm. You can then go back to the top left and then back into your 22-23 financial year. Click on view, and again, go back in there and check that the annual return has now got those figures on the left-hand side. And don't forget, again, if you're in income and expenditure, to click on calculate. Okay. So that's going to be the most common issue that we really have with regards to the annual return. And like I say, it's good point now to get over that, because you don't want to get to 31st of March, find that it's not balancing and work out any errors. If you're in income and expenditure as well, take a look at your balance sheet. So that's in that year-end menu, and just check that all balance is there as well for the previous financial year. It will pull figures through up to date as well. So this year should balance at this point too. If there's anything missing, it may be that your adjustments aren't in on income and expenditure. Please do get in touch with us. Now's a really good time to do it before we get really, really busy, and we can get that balancing well in advance of the 31st of March. Okay, so that's the checking your annual return, the balance sheet. Any questions about that at all? Please do take yourself off mute and shout out, because I can't see everybody on here, I'm afraid. No? Okay.
Sorry, one question. When I went in to look at the setup reinstate, there was no VAT button.
You didn't have the VAT box on there?
No.
Are you working in receipt? You're working receipts and payments, aren't you, Karen? Yeah, you won't have it. So you
sorry.
Yeah, no worries. All you have is your cash at bank and your funds box. The other boxes only appear for income and expenditure.
Thank you.
No worries. Also, if you are new and it is your first year in Scribe, there will be an extra tab there so you can put the other boxes of your AGAR in so that they pull through as well. If you don't put that in, it doesn't matter. It won't affect it. You just basically need your box 7 and your box 8 for it to balance the new year. But it's nice to have that left-hand column completed on your AGAR. And again, if you need any help with that at all, do just get in touch with us and we can have a look with you.
Thank you.
No problem. Next thing to have a look at. So if we run the annual return again, is to check that everything's feeding into the correct boxes on the AGAR. So the main ones here are, you want to check that your precept is feeding into box 2, your staff costs are feeding into box 4, and any loan or interest and capital repayments are feeding into box 5. So if any of these are a 0, and they shouldn't be, obviously you may not have any interest or capital repayments, that may be 0. But if your staff costs aren't feeding in or your precept's not feeding in, what we need to do is go and check that the cost codes that relate to those boxes are actually linked to them. So to do this, we're going to run down to setup here, and we're going to click on cost codes. So the easiest way to do this is if we look over on the right-hand side, you've got type, and this is where they're feeding into those boxes. If that's not showing for you, just click on columns here and just check that type is ticked and apply, and that column will then appear on the screen here. So if we click on type, I just want to do that to bring everything into order. So most of your cost codes will be default. They're just going to feed into other receipts and other payments. But if I click it twice, it will bring up here those that are feeding into staff on precept. So if nothing's feeding in there, obviously we need to update those cost codes to show that they're feeding in. But as you can see, my cost codes for staff are feeding into my staff one and preset my preset one. You may have more than one cost code for staff costs. You might have split out into national insurance and pensions contributions as well. You can link as many cost codes into those boxes as you need to. But to make sure they're linked, find your cost code here, go to the 3 dots at the end and click on edit. This will bring up your cost code. And if we go to, if we scroll down, you can see the type box here. So if we just show the drop down for that, that's where you select if that cost code is for capital repayment, if it's just a default, if it just needs to go into general receipts and payments, whether it's precept or whether it's staff. So I'll click on staff, click save, and then any transactions I now put into Scribe and assign to that staff cost code will feed into the staff cost box on the AGAR. So another good check as well at this point, if we go back to the annual return, at the top here, you've got the drop down that says annual return. You can also check what transactions have gone into those boxes. So as you can see, you can select your other receipts, staff costs, loan repayments, or other payments. So if we select the staff cost box and run the report, this will show you any adjustments at the top. So if you're working in I&E, any adjustments that have been reversed out from the previous year, and then any transactions that have been assigned into against that staff cost box. So you can just run through and check that that all looks okay, and that's what it's you're expecting it to be. Or if it looks higher perhaps than you're expecting it to be, it may be that there's a cost code linking into that staff codes box that shouldn't be. So it's just a really good check to go through and have a look at all the transactions that are feeding into those boxes. Okay, any questions regarding your cost code types at all? No, okay, lovely. Right, next thing. So we've checked the annual return, we've checked the balance sheet, and we've checked that your cost codes are feeding in to the correct boxes. Next thing to have a look at is your VAT position, and just check that your VAT position looks correct. So the best way to do this, whether you are VAT registered or not, so if you're completing your VAT 100 or not, is to go to the VAT menu here and just have a look at your VAT summary. So if we bring that up, I'll just run it at today's date. Doesn't matter which date you run it at because you're basically checking the opening balance. So what you need to check is, first of all, that your brought forward figure is correct. So this should be any monies that either HMRC owed to you as at 31st of March 2022, or monies that you owed to them. Okay, so that figure should basically be what your first VAT reclaim or payment was in the 22-23 year. So the receipt that you, or payment that you made, should equal that brought forward figure there. And then we've got here the receipts. So this is my funds that I've had back from HMRC, which are matching. If you're VAT registered, obviously, and your claim, you've got VAT on invoices that you're sending out, receipts that are coming in, then you will have receipts in there as well. And here we've got any payments, so any VAT amounts that we paid out on Scribe, on your payments there, and then it will show me the balance there that I'm either owed or I need to pay. So if you're doing your VAT returns regularly, you'll probably be doing this anyway. If less so, perhaps you only do it on an annual basis, it's worth checking that that brought forward figure is correct. If it's not, to amend it, you can come down to setup and restate, no, not restate last year, sorry, bring bank balances, apologies. Let's go into there, and then we've got the VAT here, and here's my starting figure. So this is, just to confuse everyone, this is different to restating. When you restate a figure, if money is owed to you, it's a positive figure, and if you owe money, it's a negative figure. When you're popping it into your bank balances here, it's the other way round. If it is owed to you, it's a minus figure, because basically that money you haven't got yet. Okay, so this £757 is owed to me, and it's a minus figure. And if you owe it, it's a positive figure because it's money sat in your accounts. So it's positive that you need to pay out. If you do have any problems with your VAT starting figure, do let us know. We can have a look for you. It's a really good time just to check again that that is up straight, because I would say majority of questions we get around VAT come year end is where the starting figure isn't correct, and obviously Scribe isn't calculating the VAT for you. If you have any sort of big VAT questions, Hannah, our head of accounts, is an absolute whiz on that. Everything goes to her VAT related, and there's not been anything that she's never been able to sort out. So do let us know. Like I say, the idea of these sessions is to find any errors in advance before kind of year end hits and we become exceptionally busy, so we can help you sort that out. Any questions about VAT at all in your starting balance?
Hi. Sorry, quick question. So
Yes.
my starting balance is correct, just looking at that back, but the receipts don't match up to what we've actually received back, which is trying to figure out. I've just checked how it pulls through, but it just comes up as default. Is there anything I need to change on the settings?
So one thing you must do when you pop in your VAT receipt, let me just find here, is make sure it's coded as R. Let me just find my one here. There we go. So reclaim. So if I go to the three dots and click on edit.
Yeah.
So if you're paying any money to HMRC or receiving any back, the VAT type must be refund. Otherwise, it's not going to recognise it. So that's
why it's not doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I've done wrong as well.
Yeah. So any monies to or from HMRC for that must be type R, and then Scribe will recognise it as a VAT transaction.
Right,
that's especially important, obviously, for your I&E, because VAT is seen is reported separately. So do make sure that any of your HMRC transactions have that R code. Okay. Yeah, that's a really common one as well. I've done lots of those this week actually, where they've not fed through correctly onto the system.
Sorry, Jane, can I just ask a question again around the VAT? So if you're owed money, you would put it still as a refund with a minus figure?
So yeah, in your starting bank balances here, so set up bank balances, you put it in you're owed as a minus figure. Yeah,
I get that, but as money's coming in throughout the year, when you're coding it,
that's a receipt. No, you put that in as a positive figure.
You do.
So you put it in as a normal receipt as a positive amount, because it is money coming in, and just code it with that R.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Reports right now. Thank you.
Yes, I hate VAT. I will say that it's not my favourite. Hannah loves it, so we get her to do all the hard VAT things.
You never know that.
Okay, so bank reconciliations, that's your next thing. So check that you're reconciling and you're up to date. I have many questions when we get to the 31st of March, when no one's reconciled all year. I cannot stress the importance of reconciling every single month, because if you've reconciled every month, when you get to the 31st of March, everything is literally a click of a button. So to check
Can
your
I just say, when you're in that screen, reconcile bank, I wish you could see your last reconciled balance in that screen.
Oh, in the report, you mean? Or
where you're in the reconcile bank.
Yeah, just reconcile all banks.
When I was in just normal records, I wish you could see your last figure.
Okay, so you could see what the closing balance was.
Yes, because then you know where. Just be sure where you were starting.
Yeah, no problem. I will ask my dev team to have a look at that for you. We're actually doing quite a lot of year-end updates at the moment, so
I'll it's just nice to see it there.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
Adding to Kerry's point, it would also be really helpful when with Realtus you type in when you immediately start your bank statement amount. So when you're doing the rec, you can immediately look at it and go, I'm £14 out. Let's find a figure at 14. It would be really handy if there was a structure like that.
It's like a countdown, isn't it? You know, you come to sort of zero balance, don't you? You put your end balance that you want it to be in, and it counts.
Because at the moment you click save and you think, please let it balance. Well.
Yeah,
it's just it's like playing brand tub at the minute.
Yeah, no
Completely
worries.
agree.
We have been looking at that because we have had quite a few comments on that, how, you know, Realtus does it, and that, like you say, you don't have that shock at the end when it doesn't balance. So it is something we're looking into. It's quite sort of a big development thing to change it, but definitely something that we would look to do in the future. Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for the feedback there, but I know that one's definitely on the list to do. Okay, so once you've done your reconcile, you're going through and you're reconciling each of your accounts, we need to check that everything balances together. So this one is reconcile all banks. So I find a lot of people do reconcile where they're going through doing each individual account, but not everyone does reconcile all banks. So if we go to the reconcile all banks screen, you can see here I've last done it as at the 31st of December. So I have my December statements. I've gone through and I've ticked off all my transactions against each of my bank accounts as at the 31st of the 12th. And then I've come to this screen, and in here, I've popped each of my bank statement amounts. Now, not every account is going to have a monthly statement. So you don't, obviously, it will just remain the same. My deposit account, you know, they quite often only come quarterly or half yearly. So that would remain the same. But in here, I've popped my current account statement balance as at the 31st December and my petty cash amount as well. If you have a charge card as well, that would usually be 0 because you'll have done a transfer to clear it. Click on Save and Next and view the report. And what you've got here, you've got the prepared and approved by at the top. So this is a really handy one if you don't already to take to council meeting. Section A is what's in Scribe. So it's got your opening cash at hand figure. So your box 8 from your AGAR from last year, adding any receipts added to Scribe, taking off any payments, and that gives you your new cash in hand figure in Scribe. And then we've got the bank statement balances here, less or plus any unpresented payments or receipts that are on Scribe that you haven't yet gone through the bank statement, and the two should match. So A equals B checks out okay. If that's the case, then you are pretty much on your way to being ready for year end with your input into Scribe. Just obviously keep making sure you do it monthly. A couple of things on here that people are not always aware of. At the top here, you can bring up a list of any uncashed payments or any uncashed receipts. So you can go through and just have a look at what you've got there. Sometimes you'll have some really old transactions in here from previous years. This is a good time to review if they're ever really going to go through, and realistically, if not, what you can do is reverse them out. And to do that, for payments, you put another payment in with exactly the same details, but a minus figure in front. So it would reverse out that original payment, and then you could tick both off at the next reconciliation. So just a really good idea just to run through these reports. So you've got one for uncashed payments and one for uncashed receipts, and just check what's within that figure, because obviously anything unpresented is going to feed into your AGAR figure at the end of the year. If there is a reconciliation difference, the best way to find it is via bank reports and accounts any bank. So this is a really good report. I use this for lots and lots of situations. So if we just look at the current account and view the report, it will tell you what your bank statement should be. So this will be the figure that comes up when you do the individual reconciles. If there's an error, I usually go through, print this off, highlight the previous month's entries that I've ticked off. So I would have highlighted everything for December, have my bank statement beside me and tick them back. And normally it's something on Scribe that's been cashed that's not actually on the bank statement, or something on the bank statement that hasn't been ticked off or entered on to Scribe. But again, if you go in the help guides, there's some really good information on how to find bank reconciliation errors, or you can come to us and we can take a look with you. But now's the best time to get your reconciliations up to date. I say we probably spend 50% of our time in April looking for errors to try and get people up straight. But yeah, if you can do it now, that's this is a really good time, and you know that everything's correct at this point. Any questions about reconciliation at all? No? Okay, lovely. Yeah, if you do have a problem, let us know. There's nothing I like more, seriously, than a 1p error. It's my favourite. Just trying to find it. It's very, very satisfying. So please do let us know. Okay, next thing we're going to do is run the detailed cost centre report. Now, this is actually another really good report to run on a monthly basis. So you can find this under summary reports on the left-hand side and click on the detailed cost centre. So you can run the report for payments or receipts or both. So I'm going to run it for both today. And what this will show you, if I just bring this up, I'll just make it a bit bigger because there's a lot of information on this one. It shows you every transaction under each individual cost code. So you can go down and have a look, and basically it's a good overview every month to check that the transactions are in the correct cost code and also that the VAT types look correct as well. So for example, I've popped one in here. If I go down to my staff cost code, if I can find it, here we go. And so here's my staff cost code, here's all my transactions, and down at the bottom here, I look through and I'd see that there's a grass cutting transaction sitting in my staff cost. So I know I just need to go in, edit that transaction and move it into the correct cost code. Also, you wouldn't expect to see a standard VAT type under my staff cost code, and vice versa. If you go through and look, perhaps everything else has got a VAT type of S, but perhaps there's something there that hasn't, and maybe it should. So I sort of recommend that you go through this each month. It also supports your summary report if you're taking that to council meeting, because if anyone has any queries about what's gone through against an individual cost code, you can look down here and find that information quite easily as well. So just really good to have an overview of that now, again, checking what's feeding into all your boxes within your AGAR and everything looks okay. Okay, I'll go straight onto the asset register and then we'll cover everything after that because it's quite a short section. So your asset register, obviously going to feed into box 9 of your AGAR. You can find your asset register under your year-end menu here, whether you're in receipts and payments or income and expenditure. And if we click on the asset register itself, you can see there that mine is up to date with all my individual assets. So you've got two options here, really. Obviously, if you've got your individual assets in there, all you need to do at year end is dispose of any that you no longer have or add in any new assets that you may have purchased. If you haven't got anything in there, you can go through and add in each of the individual assets, which you can do by clicking on this blue plus button at the top here. The purchase value is the standard for what will feed through into your AGAR. You can change it to current value if that's how you've historically reported it and to keep the continuity. And you can do that by clicking into account and council profile. And that's where you can change the reporting type, but most people will report on that purchase value here. So you can either add in each of your assets individually. We also do have, if you have them on a spreadsheet, we can import them for you. So do just pop us an email to hello@scribeaccounts.com and we'll import them for you. But if you don't want to do that at this point of the year, you can just add in an overall value. So your description would be total assets and your purchase value, your overall asset value. Click on add, and that will then appear in your asset register in the year end menu. Obviously, if you're in income and expenditure, just a reminder again to click on the calculate so it feeds in as well. Also, to let you know, we have added a new feature that if you purchase any assets in the year, you can actually get the transaction to feed directly into the asset register. So if we go into transactions and payments, I've popped one in there this morning where I've ordered a new notice board. So if you go to the 3 dots at the end, I can just simply click on convert to asset. I'll click on that and it will bring all my information through into the asset register, and I can add any other details in there that I want. If you're disposing of an asset that you have on your asset register, you just need to go into it and change the status to dispose there. So it will keep a record, but it will remove that purchase value out of your asset figure. And also useful, you can attach any files to your assets too. So photos, perhaps insurance documents, anything like that, you can attach to that asset record. Click on add, and that will add that asset there at the top here to my asset register. So that is everything. That's everything to cover, to check that your accounts are in a good place for year end. Any general questions from anybody that you'd like me to run through today?
Jane, can I just ask about assets?
Yes.
A couple of years ago, we bought some Christmas tree lights, and I bought a number, about 4, and I put them in as one asset. Now, a couple of them have been broken. So how do I remove them from the asset register when they were all clumped together as 4 lots, when 2 of them have now been disposed of?
So you could obviously divide the purchase value by 4, and reduce it by half if 2 have gone, or you could split them out. You could split them out into 4 separate assets, with a quarter of the value each, and then obviously 2 of them then could be disposed of.
Right.
So in the future, obviously, then if another set went, then you can do the same for that as well.
So it would be best to split them up.
I think so. It'd make life easier in the future, and then if you have any more, then you can add those in individually as well.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Jane, you said about reports to take to council. Do you have a little crib sheet, the ones you suggest, and where to find them?
Okay, so I don't have a sheet, but actually we made a note of that the other day, that we need to produce a kind of a help guide around what reports to take. So the main reports I would say to take to council meeting are your bank reconciliation, your summary report, which you can find under summary reports here, which is your budget against actual figures. You may want to take that detailed cost centre, like I said, just to support that, so you know what transactions have gone against each of your cost code lines. And
do
then
you do it a month rather than the whole year?
Most councils I know take the whole year, because they obviously want to see where they are at that position year. But you can, all reports you can produce during through a date range, so you can add that in as well if you want to. And then the other one, most common one, is the transaction report under list reports. So here we've got you can either have payments, receipts, or both. And also when you're adding your payments in, there's a little tick box to say that they're awaiting authorization. That's where you can get that report from as well. And again, under the advanced tab, which is on all your reports, you can produce that via a date range and narrow down the information that you're looking at as well.
I wish you could star them, so your favourite report.
I know, I've got that one. I've sent that one off, Carrie. That's favourites. That's what we need, favourite reports, so that you can just bring up your most commonly used ones. So yeah, that's with my dev team at the moment. Any other questions at all? No? Oh, that's lovely. Well, thank you all for joining this morning. It's lovely to see so many people. Don't forget, if you have any questions, queries, we are here. Do get in touch with us. There's our phone number, the 01603 856 521, or our email hello@scribeaccounts.com. But now's a good time to get ready for year end. To say once the 1st of April hits, it all goes absolutely crazy here at Scribe, as it does, I think, in most councils. And yeah, we'll help. I can see there's a message from you, Kate, so I will get in touch with you after the session and give you a call about the VAT. And Carrie, yeah, I'll tell Tracy that allotments have been resolved. So
yeah, I altered how they cost. I was pricing them out and it wasn't doing it, but then when I altered the dates, it forced it to recalculate.
No worries, that's brilliant. I'll let Tracy know.
Thank you.
Lovely to see everyone. Have a really nice rest of your day. Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.